All right, here's a brake booster. This is for a turbo Daytona. You have to get the turbo one. I ordered it from AutoZone. The one on my Volare came from Rock Auto, but this is the same setup I use on my Volare. Works good for that. There's not a lot of vacuum at idle in that, so, but when you're driving on the road, it's fine. But yeah, part number. There is them side by side. I haven't tried to see if they fit up or anything. If the master cylinder actually bolts on. Looks like it should from the naked eye. You can see this one has an angle on it. It angles it up, the stock Dakota one. And then so right about there, you can see how much farther the brake pedal sticks out, or the rod. So I'm gonna put it in, and then we'll see how it looks. And then I can show you in the car how much needs to come in or out on the brake pedal. Probably have to take the brake pedal out, cut it up, and weld it up. But here's a top view. See, it's quite a bit farther out. I don't think this is adjustable. No, it's not adjustable on these. But yeah, you can see this one was pretty clapped, even the boots all wore out and everything. But let me throw this on. Okay, so here's the stock booster. So this is straight up and down, the part that mounts to the firewall. You can see how much angle's on this. And that's where you're gonna run into a problem with the Daytona booster. I'm gonna show you how many degrees that measurement will be. If I didn't move it too much, pulling that off, looks like that's at about 10 degrees. We're at 80.99 degrees, somewhere around there. So we're gonna have to put 10, somewhere around there on the Daytona one. So the master cylinder does bolt up to it. I got it bolted up right now. You can see how much smaller it is. Looks a lot better in there. I just got one nut holding it on in the firewall, so I got to pull it on and off. But I think there might be enough stud there to put enough angle on it to bolt it the way it is instead of modifying the brake pedal. So I'm going to try to put some nuts on the bottom studs and then kick that up or some washers and see how that looks. It should stay, hopefully. We'll see. If not, I'll just take the brake pedal off, cut it, and weld it, because it's quite a bit high where the rod comes into. It's probably like an inch high. I'll show you in a second. But yeah. All right, so hopefully you can see it. So maybe that. Let's try this. So it's got kind of an angle there, but you can see how high it is compared to the thing. So right there's the pin down there, and this doesn't have enough flexibility. We're missing about by an inch. So yeah, it needs to come down, and it's also pretty short already. You're not gonna have a lot of brake. So I think the best bet would be to cut it and then move it farther back. So move the pin up and then farther back on it. But the gas pedal is only going to come up this far, so you want them fairly close from when you're going from gas to brake, so you don't got to bring your foot way up, especially with this since it's supposed to drift with it. So you want to be able to move them back fairly fast. So right there is about where you'd sit with it in the center of that one, as you can see that. But yeah, so that's probably about where I want it. I don't remember how far up it sat on the stock one. Well, I guess right about there, because that's the brake switch. So it's way up there. I don't think that's right. Maybe I bent it. Probably bent it. But and where you'd want to move the pin is right about where that tab is, that for your brake light. So you're gonna have to move that, figure something out with that too. But yeah, let me pull this off and see if I can get enough angle on it with just the nuts. or washers on the bottom. But that's also going to push your rod out even farther that way towards the engine. So then you're going to lose even more brake this way. All right, so here's my brake pedal. It's out. I think it was a 13mm nut that you pull out. There's little plastic sleeves in here that are greased. So you could re-grease her up, make her sling all around nice and good. Or not. I know I'm not going to. So I got this ground. I got a 1/2-inch bolt. Fits fairly well in the rod. So I'm gonna weld it like that. And then I even got a nut with a nylon locking nut. So somewhere around in there, blah, blah, blah. It needs to be raised up. That's gonna push it farther back. That should be nice. See if this is strong enough when it breaks off when I go to push the brake sometime. But yeah, hopefully the rod has enough movement in it to swing over it, because that nut's huge, obviously, because it's a 1/2-inch bolt. So it's pretty long, so this has to be pretty long. If not, I can unbolt it a little bit, fandangle it a little. Should be good to go, but I'm gonna get this welded and then go from there. Gotta grind this bolt still, but when I was looking in there, I wanted it to be about level with there, and then I can still keep the brake light switch. Hopefully it'll still work. But yeah, that's that. All right, so here's the nut or bolt welded to her. Just laid it right to it. My auto darkening helmet, my Lincoln, battery shit the bed, so I'm going in blind to start it. It's not really an excuse for this, but yeah, it'll probably hold. It's just the brakes. All right, so we got it all bolted up. Didn't notice this before, but this interferes with that a little bit, where the vacuum line is. You can see it coming out a little bit. I don't know if it's still sealing. I don't know if I can clearance that just a bit, or these two pieces, like if there's any room to clearance it without it leaking. But do as I say, not as I do. For this, you can see it. I welded it too high. I said that I was gonna go even with that little stud. I did not. I went higher. So I'm not getting a whole lot of rod through. It's mostly just pushing it up more than anything. I can't tell if my brakes hit hard because it leaks on the handbrake on right there. But yeah, if I would have done what I told you guys to do, it would have been perfect. Also, if you do this, get a longer bolt like I had, don't cut it, and then you can use it for your brake light. See how I cut it? Now it doesn't reach it. But if I would have kept it that same length, guess what? It would have hit it, and then that would have been perfect. So, if you're gonna do this, take a 1/2-inch bolt, go, I'd say actually, put the bottom of the 1/2-inch bolt level with that little stud. I don't know if you can see it. No, but anyways, there's a little stud that holds the little tab for the brake light. And do about a 3-inch bolt. And then, yeah, just weld it on there. Like, make them flush, the stud and that bolt, the bottom of each, flush with each other. And have it be like 3 inches. And should be good to go. And then it should hit off the brake switch. And then, yeah, it'd be a pretty sweet setup. But now I'm kind of, I don't want to pull it back off. It's a pain in the ass getting that rod back in. So probably just gonna send it. I think it'll be fine. There's a little bit there. I hear something squirting, so it's pissing out. Brake fluid somewhere. It'll probably get hard. But yeah. All right, there's that. So that's your brake booster tutorial in words, not actually doing it. But Daytona turbo booster for the Dakota. Yep, disappointing. I never mentioned this, but I'm filling in all the holes on the firewall. well, for the most part. That's where the master cylinder goes for the clutch. That's like the gas tank wiring and tail lights and all that shit go to that. I might cut them and then still fill in that hole and then bring it up the side and drop it down or something. And that hole I'm gonna use for the main harness, and then that hole's for the throttle cable. But here's the part you want to see. So I cut it. You see, that made it weird. But I cut it and I moved it down, and then I put that little plate there. So when you push on it, it's gonna try to pull it, or the push rod's gonna try to push it. So that should try to help keep it straight. Who knows? The brake switch, I gotta fiddle with that a little bit to get it to move down. It's a little high right now, so I gotta pull that off. But I definitely have way more brake now. Can't really tell, but gotta pump them up. But yeah, a whole lot better now. Actually have some brake feel. I haven't adjusted the push rod on the outside either. That actually goes into the master cylinder for the brakes. I haven't touched that, so I probably need to mess with that a little bit also. Seems like the brakes were hanging up, but that could just because they're sitting. The truck's been sitting for so long. But yeah, there's that masterpiece. If I were to do it again, I'd grind the bolt down a little more, or maybe notch the brake pedal a little more, and then just so you can get a better weld around it, because it is kind of sketchy just having the bolt there. That's why I threw that other piece on there, because I mean, sometimes you like really fucking put some nut into the brakes when you're stomping on them. So I don't know, we'll see if it holds up. I mean, I got the handbrake next to me that works half the time, so, and it'll be manual, so that'll help slow it down. But yeah, hopefully it doesn't come to that. But there we are.